Hello. In this class, we are going to speak about the International Phonetic Alphabet and phonetic transcription. So we're going to speak about the concepts in terms of why spelling is different than phonetics, and we'll speak about phonemes and the English phonemes in particular. We'll go over them at the beginning, kind of as a survey, because at some point we are going to speak about every one of them individually and in detail, and we'll do a lot of exercises. So, and then we'll speak about morphology briefly, because phonetics is not about morphology, but they are related in certain ways. And we'll do, again, several exercises. This is based on Larry Small, Fundamentals of Phonetics, and the last edition, 2016. So generally, in order to discuss things in terms of phonetics, we focus on what we hear, not what we see. It is not about writing. So writing is orthography, and phonetics is about understanding and being able to say the phones or the phonemes of the language, the sounds of the language. So we are going to ignore your spelling, and we will focus simply on what we hear in a word or in a sound. So a phoneme is known as the smallest sound unit of the language. So when I say cat, the first phoneme is k, and then second is a, and then t. So how many phonemes do I have? Will be 3. If I say photo, how many phonemes do I have? I simply focus not on the spelling, I focus on what I hear. So f, o, t, o. So how many? So that should be f, o, f, o, t, o. 4 phonemes. So it's important for you, again, keep in mind, you're looking for sounds, and the sound that you say and you hear is a phoneme. So let's see how many phonemes are in the word f, o, t, o, g, r, a, f. How many do we have? Well, you did well. So orthography is about visual representation of the sounds. But there is a problem with the orthography of English, the written language. The letters of the language are 26 letters. Yet the sounds, the phonemes of English are 43 phonemes. So ideally, you should have one single symbol, for example, letter, to stand for one single sound. Like when you say, for example, s, you should find the S sound just standing for, the S letter standing for s, just like that. But the fact is, because we have less letters than phonemes, we have to use some of these letters in different ways. So the s is going to be, you can make it with, for example, you say the S sound, a letter, and then you can say it as s, or you can say it as z. These are 2 different phonemes. Yet again, you use a single letter to make them. And add to this, there are letters that we don't say at all, but they are remnants of old English dialects and accents, and over time they were dropped, and to us, they are just staying there to keep the word intact, because if you take it out, the silent letter, it's going to confuse the word with another word. So in addition to this, these issues, you might have several ways of saying the exact same sound, like shh. How many ways can you make this? You can make an SH letter. It's going to give you sh as in cat, shh. Or you can get TION, shun, stay, shun. It gives you the same sound. And you will find other sounds, other letters that are going to be giving you just one sound. So in phonetics, we want a 1-to-1 match. One sound, one letter, or one symbol, we call it, is going to stand for a single unique sound, phoneme. And that's it. If you see that, it doesn't mean anything else except for that. So this is why in the International Phonetic Alphabet, English has 43 symbols that represent 43 sounds of the language. So in spelling, in orthography, graph is something that you see, letter. Allograph. Allo means multiple. Allograph means multiple forms of the same, multiple forms of the same. So, for example, you have the sh sound. How do you make it? How many ways can you make? How many forms of the sh can you find? How many allographs? So let's see. You can do it with a sh, sh. You can do it with an se, as in Sean, sh, on. You can make it with a tion, as in caution. You can make it with a cious, which is sh, as in precious. And you can do it as, if you combine ssu in certain contexts. So tissue. So all of these, the sh, the se, the tion, cios, issu, all of these are different ways of making the same sound, different written ways. So each one is called an allograph, an alternative way of making the same graph, or the same grapheme, or making the same kind of, basically the same sound. So let's look at this symbol. This is from phonetic alphabet. A, as in may, hey, day. You do it like that. The vowel at the end is we use these two symbols, A. So that sound can be made by different allographs, different forms of representation and letters. So you can do E-I-H, which is A, as in slay. A-I can make this sound. Or simply A, as in make. I am exaggerating certain sounds here to make you feel the difference so that you'll match the symbol with the right way. Steak, A-E-A makes that sound as well. Bait, A-I makes that sound. So again, each one of these written forms, combinations of letters, each one is called an allograph, a different way or an alternative way of saying the same exact sound. So this is again an example, or these are examples to show the complexity and the kind of problem that we have 26 letters and then we have 43 sounds in the same language, and that makes you and it makes it in many ways you aren't able to have rules, consistent rules. So if you were to have a single symbol for each single phoneme, then that is going to capture every detail of every sound, and it will make every sound unique, and that sound will not be confused with another sound. So, I mean, why are we going through all of this anyways? Suppose that as an SLP, speech language pathologist, someone comes to you and that person says, Samantha told me to do this. And you know who Samantha is. But that person said that word this way, Samantha. So you want to capture exactly how that sound is said by this person. So you write it in phonetic alphabet and write, instead of S, you're going to write theta, a circle with a cross mark, theta, and then with the rest, Samantha, just the way that this person said it. So then the child, for example, goes to a different school district in a different state. Then a speech language pathologist is going to read the report. Oh, this is how she said this. So she said it Samantha. What if she, instead of saying Samantha, she said Shemansha, Shemansha? Where do you get sounds to do that? You find the sound from another language that has this unique sound, and you put it in there, and when you write in phonetic alphabet, the other person reads your symbols and brings exactly the same pronunciation that this person used to make the word. So, and then you can go and analyze it and find, what best way would be to treat that sound, because you have to break down the sound and bring them back to their different ways, original forms and stuff like that. Another benefit to this, of course, which is even, greater, is to capture the sounds of all languages. So when a language dies, you are going to find out how to pronounce it, how it was pronounced. And every month, one language dies in the world. So linguists go and speak to the person and capture all the sounds of the language in international phonetic alphabet, and they record them, and they record the history of that tribe or that community that is on the decline. And by the time the language dies, when the last person of that tribe or community dies, then that language is preserved, and it can be brought back again to life, and you can produce it the same way like the native speakers, produced it hundreds or thousands of years ago. So letters also can be upper and lower case. In International Phonetic Alphabet, there are no uppercase letters. Every single symbol is unique, and it is written in just one single form. Then we have the concept again of digraph. Di means two. Graph means written, symbol. So digraphs are pairs of graphemes that represent a single speech sound. Here, the GH in OUGH as in enough, or kof. So the GH gives you the f sound. What else can give us the f sound or the f phoneme? So you can put an F letter as in fluff. It gives you a single sound, f, or PH or EA as in E. And these are different. So these all, GH, FF, PH, all of these give us that phoneme f. And then EA gives us a single sound, which is the E as in each. Peach. OO gives us a single sound as in O. Oo as in pool, or O as in book. So these two are at one digraph that stand for one sound. OE gives you oo as in shoe. EA, again, that's repeated, as in each or peach. SH, these two letters give a single sound, as in sh, and then A, and so on. So any two sounds that are together, two letters, that represent a single sound, these are called digraph, a digraph. And again, we have silent letters. So that is because of the heritage of the English language. It took from Latin, it took from French, it took from ancient British or the ancient language of the people of Britain, and so many influences. And then you end up over time, language undergoes changes over time and geographic isolation and so on. And then you get these remnants of the old practices, as in comb, ghost, psychology. And then we have borrowed words from basically all over the world. Every month, as far as 2010, every month, the English language would borrow 12 new words from other languages every month. And now, over the past 6 years after, I'm sure it is more than 12 months now because of all the internet and how much, the time that I'm saying this, when the English language borrowed 12 words every month, the internet was 6 million pages a day. And now imagine how many pages a day are added to the internet since, and every day, for the past maybe 6 years or so. So borrowing words from other languages is going to produce its own challenge as well. And some of these words may still be pronounced in a similar way to the original language, the foreign language from which they came. For example, look at this word, lasagna. You look at the sound, the letters, they do not say that, lasagna. Where do you get the ya at the end? Why don't you say the g? So that is because it is more similar to the original language it came from. Taco or taco. Alcohol from Arabic. Alchemy from Arabic. Alchemy. Banana from Arabic. Zero from Arabic. Candy from Arabic. Cat from Arabic. Albacore from Arabic. Sugar from Arabic. Genie. I'm saying this only because I speak Arabic and I can say there are so many words. All had to do with manufacturing, had to do with science, because the Arabs were very advanced in science and technology, especially when they were in Spain and Portugal. They lived there they controlled the place for 800 years, and they left a lot of influence on the Spanish, Portuguese, and especially the English language. So, borrowing words from foreign languages, the word undergoes some changes, but over time it is modified in pronunciation to fit within the context of the English language or any other languages. So, let's practice a little bit. How many phonemes do we have in each of the following words? Again, don't focus on spelling, focus on what you hear, only what you hear. So, car, how many? Try it. K, a, r. Okay, 3. Phone, f, o, n. 3. Plum, p, l, m, So, at the end, er letters. Is one single vowel. It is not a consonant, it's a vowel. So, p, l, m, I'm sorry. P, l, m, 5. How many are in sign? Sign. So we have s, I, n. 3. S, I, n. How about signature? So s, I, g, n, I, ch, So ch is one single sound. So again, s, I, g, n, I, ch, 7. You are going to have exercises in the exam to count how many words, and the quizzes and exams, how many words, how many phonemes are in each word. Simile. S, e, m, e, l, e. Again, s, e, m, e, l, e. So simile. 6. In that case, we say the word as such. So at the end, you know, that e, we say it in simile. How many are in each? So each, 2 sounds. 2 phonemes. So now I would like you to pause this video and go complete the exercises in your textbook. They are written here, page 11, and then come back with complete. So I'll say a little bit about morphemes, and but not too much, just within the context that it connects with phonetics. Morphology is the science of the language that has to do with the composition of words. How the word is constructed. Morpheme, one morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit of the language. So when I say meaningful, means linguistically meaningful. So if I say for example, pen. How many concepts does it have? How many concepts does the word pen convey? So it has, this is one linguistic meaning. It means it's an instrument that we use to hold between our fingers and write with. That is what a pen is in reality, as a concept. So, but how many concepts are in that word, pen? It is a single one. So pen stands for a single concept for something like this, or a kind of form, you know, just like this, as an instrument that we use, hold with our fingers, and write down with. That's one morpheme. A morpheme is doesn't depend on the sounds. It depends on the word as a unit. So a morpheme is a whole word or part, some kind of something that you attach to a word to give you more meaning. Basically, every individual concept of the language, when you open a dictionary, all these words that are listed as individual words are morphemes, regardless of how long they are or how short they are. If you have a word by itself standing, giving meaning freely, then that is one morpheme. So if you say language, that is one morpheme. It means one concept. Book. If you say cat, ant, hippopotamus, all of these are individual morphemes because each one has means one single linguistic concept. So a morpheme again is the smallest linguistically meaningful unit of the language. If it doesn't have meaning, it is not a morpheme. A morphology is part of the language components or language parameters that are used to construct a language. A language is made out of 5 major parameters. You have phonology, which is the rules that you use to put sounds together in a language to make words, syllables, to build from. The raw material is the phonology. Then morphology is the science of words. You have whole words that give you linguistic meaning. Then you have semantics, which is, it has to do with all aspects of meaning in words and in sentences. And then you have syntax, which is the grammar, the rules of that language. How do you string individual words, morphemes, together in a sequence, in a certain order, in order to express one single idea. So one sentence, means one single idea. What rules do you use? So these are syntax. And then you have pragmatics, that is what is the meaning that comes out when you combine two sentences together, when you combine paragraphs. How are these connected with each other thematically, like they make one theme together? So all of that would be pragmatics. So now morphology is part of language. It is not part of speech. So speech, we have in speech, we have voice, we have fluency, and we have sound production or articulation. These do not have to do with the meaning of the language. They have to do with how you produce the language verbally. So again, voicing, say ah, and fluency. If someone isn't fluent, they stutter, for example, or clutter. And then we have speech sound articulation, and that is all of them. Again, they do not have to do with language. So someone might have a speech sound disorder, and they can be on top in terms of grades. They would do very well in school, but someone has a language disorder will be impossible to do well in school, for example, because the meaning, if they can't understand the meaning of the language, they will not be able to understand it in any context, science, math, reading, and so on. So anyways, any individual word that's a single word in the singular form, whether verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, whatever that is one single morpheme. And that single morpheme, we call it free morpheme because it can be independent by itself and it gives you linguistic meaning. So when I say ball, you know what it means. When I say ring, phone, and Samantha, classroom, professor, all of these are individual morphemes that stand by themselves. They are able to give meaning on their own. Bound morphemes are units of linguistic meaning, but they cannot express that meaning unless you bind them to a free morpheme. For example, S, the S letter, doesn't mean anything by itself. It doesn't have meaning. What does S mean? But if you attach it to the word cat, it is going to give you meaning. So cat is one linguistic morpheme. It means an animal that has 4 legs. It is a small, specific size, has a tail, has fur, and all these descriptions that apply to cat. But you add the S at the end, that means more than one of that species, more than one of this kind. So the S here gives you another linguistic meaning. So the word cats has 2 morphemes. The same for kitten. You add an S, it's gonna make it 2. Kitten, and then the S will be more than one of these kittens. So bound morphemes include any prefixes, any suffixes that you add to a word, to a free morpheme, so that you can add more to the meaning. So let's practice, and you will have, in the upcoming quiz, you are going to have exercises to count morphemes. So let's see how many morphemes we have. Table, how many? You got it right. 1 morpheme. History, 1. Hippopotamus, 1. Burger, 1. Book. Book is 1. How about Star Wars? If I broke these 2 from each other, Star and Wars, then it will be different. But because we know Star Wars, it means one single thing, which is the series that everyone knows. It doesn't mean more than that. So that Star Wars, even though it is compound or made out of two different words over time, they were blended so they would mean a single concept. So Star Wars is a single concept, one single morpheme. Fireplace. In the past, when it was formed, it was fire and then place. But we know the word fireplace as a single concept. It is the area of the house that looks like this and that, and it's a single morpheme. Whiteboard, basketball, single morphemes. Now look at this. Suspicious. How many morphemes do we have? The test for you to consider and see is if you take the extra stuff out of the word, you are going to have one free-standing morpheme in the end. So suspicious, what is the origin of suspicious? What is added? If I take CIOS at the end, I'm going to say suspect. So I'll bring the word to its origin, suspect. So that is our free morpheme. And then shus is our bound morpheme. So these are two morphemes. Prehistorical. How many morphemes? Let's see. Take away the little units that are added and strip the word to its root, to its original form. So the original form here is history. And then you add pre, that is that's the bound morpheme. And then, so it will be prehistory, would be one bound and one free. And then toric, that's another morpheme. And then cal or al, that is another morpheme. So prehistory, and then or, historic, and then that is historic, that's another morpheme. And then al is another morpheme. So 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. Prehistorical, that is 4 morphemes. How about this? Prepare. We used pre here as a morpheme, and it meant something. It meant before. But here, does it mean before? Prepare. Take it out. Do your test. Does the word pair have anything to do with preparation? No, it doesn't. So in that case, you cannot break this word apart, because pre, even though it is written like this one, even though they sound the same, pre in that word is not a morpheme at all. And the whole word prepare is a single morpheme. It refers to a single concept. How about here? Pre-write. Let's break it and see if it stands, if we can have one word that has to do with that. So pre, and then we say write. So write here is one morpheme by itself, free, and then pre is going to give us the meaning, means before, like right ahead of time, pre-write. So that is 2 morphemes, one bound, one free. Scream-ing. So ing is one morpheme, scream is one, so ing is bound morpheme, and then scream is the free. Club, clubs, 2 morphemes. East-ern, east-ern. So break it, so east, and then earn. When you have the earn, it's a morpheme you can attach to other words to mean having to do with the east. West-ern, you do the same for western, and that means it has to do with the west. So 2 morphemes. Post-operative. So how many morphemes do we have? Post is 1. Operative. Can we take the IVE out and we bring this to operate? That would be the root of the word. That would be the free morpheme. So operate, operative will be, tiv will be 1, or IVE will be 1 bound morpheme, and then operate is the free morpheme, and then post is another bound morpheme. So 1, 2, 3 morphemes in this word. Postpone. How many morphemes? Even though I had post here, and it meant a morpheme, But in this word, postpone, it is not a morpheme. Because if you break it apart, you're not going to have anything. You're not going to have what is pone? That doesn't have anything with the meaning of this word. So postpone is a single concept. It cannot be broken down. Runner. Run is one morpheme and is a second. So is a bound morpheme. Run is a free morpheme. Typist. Type and then ist. 2. Clearly. 2 morphemes. Doubtful. 2 morphemes. And another test that you could do, in addition to stripping out the suffixes and affixes, prefixes, taking them out and bringing the word to its origin, you can also take the morpheme, the bound morpheme, and see if you can attach it to other words so that it can mean the same. For example, right. Is there another word that you can use to add and produce the same meaning of means before? So, pre-write, sort, pre-sort, history, prehistory. So consistently means before. And the Eastern, if you put ERN to many words, you are going to be able to get the same meaning, which means having to do with. So doubtful, you can take the FUL, add it to many other words, you get the same, means full of. So beautiful means full of beauty. Skillful means full of skills, and so on. Clearly, ly, you can add it to many adjectives to change them and to add verbs. I ran, I am fast. As an adjective, like I am fast. But, or quick, I am quick. But if you say, I am doing something, how do you do it? Say, I do it quickly. Cheerfully, and so on. How is morphology related to phonetics? When you take prefixes and suffixes and combine them and add them to words, you are going to make some changes because the context of the word has a phonological, context. And some sounds do not fit before particular sounds. You have to make a sequence where one sound can fit in a certain place. So in any case, usually when you combine, in cases that it may happen that if you combine a suffix with a word, you may have to do some modifications. Like if the word ends with an E, then you add an ly. You may drop that E to attach the ly, for example. So, but in the process, you changing the composition of the word is going to alter the pronunciation of certain sounds in the word. And we call these morphophonemic changes. I'll give you examples. So here you have music as one phoneme. And now you add shun, which means a person who plays music. So musician. So here we have the k in music, but now you add the IAN as a bound morpheme, and the k disappears, and you have a whole different sound. Sh. Electric. You have a k. Now you add IAN, and that k disappears, and it gets replaced with the sh. Electrician. Electric again. And if you say city, electricity. So electricity, then you do that k is changed into s. Sign. There is no g. You just say sign. But if you, once you add the A-T-U-R-E, signature, then the G will be pronounced, because now the context of the word, the phonetic composition, changed as a result of the morphological changes. Again, these are morphophonemic changes. And the same for press. When you say press and add U-R-E, it will become pressure. So at this point, again, pause the video and do exercises 2.3, 2.4 on page 113. Okay. Well, welcome back. Now, I have explained why we need a universal phonetic alphabet, especially in terms of the universal, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet. It is used to give, to transcribe any language in the entire world. In the world, we have between 6,000 and 8,000 languages. And the International Phonetic Alphabet enables us to capture all the sounds in these languages, and for every language we know what unique sounds that language has. So again, if you look at letters, we have 26 letters and we have 43 speech sounds. When we say 42 or 43, there's one single sound that is more present in the British language, and it isn't, for example, it is not present in the American language much in isolation. And in some cases, when we look at the vowels, for example, so what are the vowels in the English language? Traditional explanation is A, E, I, O, U. These are 5. But no, we have 43 vowels. So we have, 43 sounds. 14 of them are vowels. So the idea again is the International Phonetic Alphabet enables us to have one single symbol, International IPA symbol, that stands for one unique sound, and no other sound will have that symbol except for that phoneme. So these again are examples of why we need the International Phonetic Alphabet. When you have O, for example, written, you look and see how many ways the same letter is pronounced. So we have it here as ha, hot, and then O, home, and then w. So it's not even O, woman, and then O, toe, and then shoe, oo. So it has nothing to do with how this is written. O, it is said as oo. And then even further, you say ow, how. And so that letter doesn't really capture it. That same letter is pronounced in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways. And also O-U-G-H in these words. You say it here as cough, and here you say it as bow, and then here bow actually, and here you say it as rough, and here you say it as through, though, and here as through. So there is so much variation. It is hard to find rules that you can stick to, and of course that makes it hard for people who are learning English to learn it fast, because of this the absence of rules in that regard. So now we are going to focus on phonetics, and we're going to focus on the phonemes of the language. And as I explained, a phoneme is the smallest sound unit of the language. Your test is, if you take that sound unit away from a word, that word will collapse, or you will be inventing a whole new word. If you just change one sound in it, one phoneme, or replace it, or take it away, you create a whole different word, or you wouldn't have a word anymore. So a speech sound differentiates one morpheme, one word, or one linguistic unit, linguistically meaningful unit. It differentiates one morpheme from another. So we have the morpheme kiss, and it means one particular concept. Let's change one single sound. Instead of s, we put the k, so it will be kick. Now we have a new word, totally different, by simply changing one single phoneme. Take the morpheme book and change one phoneme to make a new morpheme. What can you get? If you can, for example, change the k, book. You can say maybe let me trying to figure out to think about an example that of a sound that you can replace the k, but you still have the o, bo. I'm gonna think about one for the beginning. So book, you can say took, or hook. So just every time you change this and replace it with another one, you're gonna get a different morpheme. What can we put here? You can take the k, bo, and yeah, you can say bull, bull, for example. So instead of the k, you have there, but you still, these do not change the b and the o, bull, or versus book. All right. So now, this table is based on the table you have on page 14 of your text. I wanted to do it now so that you know what each sound stands for, what each symbol stands for, what each, for what phonetic, for what phoneme, sorry. So and when you say these, you say them the way that you say them. You are not reading letters. So you don't say I. That is not an I. This symbol is E, as in the word k, E. Okay? So when you say this, you say E, again, key. So these words are key words. And when if you want to remember a sound, make some more words for this sound, maybe 3, that can remind you of that sound. Because some of the exercises you're going to have will ask you to read transcription, words that are written in phonetic alphabet, and you need to read them and write them in real English. So, and the opposite is to take a word like key and write it in transcription. So let's find 2 more words as examples that have this sound E. So we have key, okay, E, C, and the same for whether the place that you go swimming in, it sounds the same as to look. This, in phonetics, we don't care. You have the same sound, and the meaning doesn't matter in that regard. So key, C, he, sh, E, B, eel, eel, feel. Okay, when you look for words that have it, you are gonna, the word it, sit, fit, fig, fig, kit, kitten, kit. So is a short form of the E. So when you say key or keep, if you shorten it, it will be kip. If you say sit, if you make sit longer, you're going to switch to this, it will be seat. So E is a longer form of the I. And this symbol is A, as you find it when you say the word rebate. So, and I'll explain the reason why later, why you put it particularly. That sound never comes. I mean, it is always comes when you have a word that has 2 syllables or more. So I'll explain again when we speak about this, as in may. So in here, you say may, you exaggerate and you use E-I, E-A. That means it's a diphthong, 2 blended vowels. But if you shorten that A, you are going to get this sound. You don't say, so here say rebate. But if you were to exaggerate the second syllable and make it bait, then you'd have to write it like this. So if someone writes rebate, transcribes it with this, it will be said like this: rebate. Could you give me a rebate? And of course, that is not how people say it. You don't put the emphasis here. So if you put the emphasis here, the stress of the word here, you must use this. But in here you don't. So you say you put it on the So it will be rebate. And the bit becomes small, like less emphatic. All right, this sound is called, the symbol is called the epsilon. And it's shaped as you see. So you use it for the transcription of this sound is embed, ed. What are other words? Said, read, hey, ed. Okay, and in your text there are more examples. This sound, it is very important when you transcribe this sound to do it exactly like you see it. Do not separate the 2 parts of that sound. If you separate, you're gonna get a whole different word, and that will make your transcription incorrect. So imagine it like an A with a backpack on its back. So that is A as in cat, A. Cat, sat, mat, hat. So that is the A. So when you write cat, in phonetic alphabet will be k, and then A, and the same t, cat. Okay. Oo, that is oo, as in pool, oo. So that's a long form of this. This one is oh. So if you say ooh, pool, and you do not do it right, and you use this symbol, it is not going to be pool. It will be pull. So that oh, with these 2 little marks on top, that is oh, pull. And this regular ooh that we use like a lowercase ooh or u, we use this to say the sound ooh, pull, pull. So again, the oo and o are similar in every way, except that oo is longer than o, like e is longer than e. So find two other examples for oo. Cool, pool, stool. and pull, book. By hook. I took. Okay, and then we have the O, and we have another sound that is going to be related to it, that diphthong, which is O. So this O is shorter than O. The O comes in single syllable words that have the O letter, as in rose. See how exaggerated you say rose. But if you put the word rose in a word like the name of the town, Melrose, you do not say rose like you say it here. You don't say Melrose, you say Melrose. So O at the end here becomes shorter because you are blending and you put the emphasis away from that syllable. By nature, single syllable words have a single word stress, just as a rule. So words that have stress, the primary stress or syllables, they have stronger sounds. So these O, these diphthongs, the O is an exaggerated, a longer form of the O. So this one always comes in syllables that carry a stress, but this one always comes in syllables that do not carry the primary stress of the word. So Melrose, Katie Rose, if it's someone's name, Katie Rose, fructose. So all of these would have that form of O. And then we have aw, law, I thought. So this is an exaggerated sound that in English, you will find it more on the eastern shore of the United States, especially in the New England area. You'll find it on Cape Cod. You'll find it, for example, Martha's Vineyard. Many people there wouldn't say Cape Cod. They would say Cape Cod. They don't say dog. They say dog. So they use that aw, that's more lower here and exaggerated. Say, instead of saying law, you say law, law. I thought. So most or the majority of the American English speakers, they do not use, they replace the aw with ah. So if you say law, they would just say law. If you say thought, they say thought. Hot dog, they say dog. So they use this symbol instead of that. But you need to know this as well because it comes in in certain phonetic contexts, you are going to encounter it. So now as in car, as in cod, as in llama, and then the schwa sound. That schwa sound is the least or the weakest sound of the English language. When you make it, it is almost like you are resting, like you are not doing any effort. Your vocal tract is minimally opened, your jaw is minimally opened, and that is the smallest sound that you can make with in the English language. So it takes the least degree of effort. So the schwa, never comes in a syllable that has a stress, a primary stress. It never does. So when you say it in the word above, say above, the stress is on the other. So is a syllable by itself, the schwa. So above, alone, a tone. So again, the schwa comes in a weak syllable. It never comes in a stressed syllable. This one is ah, as in ma, mug, ah. So bud, fudge. So we call it sometimes the caret sound and sometimes the wedge sound. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it is that sound that comes in these words, as in mug, mud, bug, hug, ugh, cup. And then this sound, you remember, this little, it is like a schwa, but it has that extension here in the back. It's called the unstressed schwa, and this one below it is called the stressed schwa. No, I shouldn't be saying stressed here. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying stressed. It's because stress describes syllables. It doesn't describe sounds. But it's, you can say, exaggerated, longer, more emphasized. So that it is typically stands for the ER of many words, usually have that sound, And notice, even though the ER, it looks like the looks like a consonant, it is not. In this context, it is not a consonant, it's a vowel. So better. And it's a vowel that has rounded lips, and it's not as emphasized, it's not as long. But when you say the word bird, so it is more, it is stronger, it takes more muscular energy, bird. So that is the symbol that is used for bird. I stir, I want to have a stir fry. So stir, bird. I saw someone who is Kurdish. So it's a strong kind of sound. If you weaken it a little bit, make it a little bit shorter, less strong, it will make that other sound as in better, carpenter, plumber. Mostly, again, characteristically, the AR at the end of words, it takes that form. You transcribe it as The diphthongs are two vowels combined together into one single phoneme, into one single sound. You begin with a vowel and then glide to the next one immediately, but in the process you make each one shorter when you blend them. So if you take this sound, and combine it with this sound, ooh, you are going to shorten each one of them. So the shorter form of ooh is oh. The shorter form of ah is this sound. And this sound is found, is what is found in the British English pronunciation. It is not individually found in American pronunciation, but when you make certain combinations like this, you are going to see the sound. So, ow, 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 as in cow, now, ow. So again, when you combine this sound with that sound, you're going to get this combination, as in now, how, brow, Um, or plow. The O, as I explained, is an exaggerated form of the O. So in any word that has the O letter or O phoneme, any word that is a single syllable, that O has to be with a diphthong. Row, your boat. The song. So rose. Hoe, toe. So all of these are diphthongs. And then I is a diphthong, which is two sounds combined. And every one of these diphthongs, the first sound, the first vowel, is called an on glide. Okay, you start with it. And the second vowel is called an off glide. You go to it. And you notice that there are 5 on glides. All of these are different. But there are only 2 off glides. The O and the I. All of these. 3 and 2. I, again, comes as a combination of that A and this E. But you blend them, you shorten each one, and you get the shorter form of this, which is A. And then you get the shorter form of this, which is I. And you get I. As in my, hi. Pie. Cry. I. And then the next one is that O, and then I. O, it will be oi, oi, as in soy, and toy, broil, 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 soy, soil. So all of these words have the oi. And then the A, as I explained, it is found in individual words of one syllable. And when you have the sound A, as in may, why don't you stay? Day. So if I take it in the word day as a word as an individual syllable, one single syllable, and it has that A, I have no choice, I have to use this diphthong. If I weaken that, take that syllable day as one syllable, and I put it to with another syllable, and I'm gonna weaken the syllable of day, because every word can only have one single primary stress. If you put it somewhere, you have to change the way you say words. So when I say day, I have no choice. There's no combination. I have to say the diphthong. But suppose I take the word day and combine it with sun. So I'm going to say, I don't say Sunday, come see me on Sunday. People don't talk like this. But how do you say Sunday? Say Sunday, Sunday. So you take sun, the first syllable has the primary stress. And then the second one becomes shorter. So you say Sunday, Sunday. So even some people might say Sunday, Monday, and they put the I, that instead. But if you say it like many, you say Sunday, 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 and you just use the regular, We are gonna use this sound as in rebate. So when you transcribe the days of the week, Monday, you are gonna use this. When you say Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, all, because in the syllable of day it is not emphasized in any of these days of the week. So I hope that you understand the difference so it doesn't cause confusion when you transcribe. I want to show you this, just to have a feel, and I hope that you go and practice with it. It can open. And that is the phonetic alphabet chart. You can click on particular sounds, and you will see how you are going to say these sounds. I just hope it opens here. So it gives you all of these sounds. You just click on one, and then it's going to give you the pronunciation. I hope it opens. My office is a little bit farther from my router, so it might have difficulty opening. But anyways, you can do this. I don't want to use the time. And I'd like you to click on various. Okay, it's going to open finally. So you click on various symbols, including non-English symbols, and you see what sounds they produce. Just taking a bit. Okay. All right, great. So let's see.
Pa, pa.
Second. That's the
Pa, pa.
okay.
Bra, bra.
So if you make a mistake and put a capital or uppercase, sound like this, when I say, for example, banana, and you just start it with a capital sound like this, it's not going to be banana. It will be
Bra,
I don't know, banana. So be careful. Let's see what this sounds like.
Ma, ma.
Okay.
Pa, pa.
Now let's look at this one.
Va, va.
Okay.
Fa, fa. Va, va. Ba, la. Ma, ma.
Okay.
Za, za. Sa, sa.
He's putting before and after to give you the to make you understand how it is said after and before, because what comes before and after is important. It may change how you say a sound.
Sa, sa.
Okay.
Da, da. Da, da. Na, na. Sha, sha. Ja, ja. Ra, ra. La, la. Ya, ya. La, la. Ha, ha. Ra, ra. Ra, ra. La, la.
So if you make again a mistake and give me an uppercase, that's gonna be this.
La, la. Pa, pa. La, la. Ra, ra. Ha, ha.
Okay.
Ha, ha.
This.
Ha, ha. Ha.
Okay, let's see vowels. The vowels that we just discussed. This.
E.
Okay.
A.
And this.
E.
Okay.
A.
So the difference?
A.
So this one is found more in British English. When someone says, and you say mom, they say ma'am. So they use the. Now listen to this.
O.
And this. So they are close, but
O,
this one is more exaggerated and farther back. This.
U, E, U, E, O, U, E.
So that is, again, these are sounds from various languages. And when we study in the consonants and vowels, and we are going to spend one whole chapter, several, at least a couple of weeks, or maybe 3 weeks, focusing on this chart here, all the vowels, but not all of them. We just study the ones in the English language. And then here, we're going to spend also a long time looking at this chart, but we are only going to focus on the consonants of the English language. Okay. Let me bring this up. All right. So now we are going to look at here we looked at the vowels and the consonants of the English language. Here we are going to look at the vowels and the diphthongs. Here we are going to look at the consonants. So the symbols that we use to describe, to write or to describe consonant phonemes. So several of these, we use exactly the same English letters to symbolize, to refer to them. As in P is the same. When you say pen, you use P. The B as in banana, you use B. T as in eat, you use T the same way. D, K, G, V, F, S, Z, H, W, R, O. These do not change. The same letters we use to refer to the sounds that match them. This symbol, is a nasal sound. And it comes in words like king, something, And then in the word bang, bank, some people say bing, but you can see before the k. When you combine and k, you're gonna get This one is as in ka, n, ba, n. So we call it the glottal stop. And this is the theta, as in math, thumb. That is a sound that doesn't have vocal fold vibration. So any sound that doesn't have vocal fold vibration, we call it a voiceless phoneme. Voiceless phoneme. We write V minus. That means voiceless. Several of these consonants come in pairs. They are like, each pair would be very similar, but they differ only in voicing. So, for example, P and B. They are exactly said the same way, but one has vocal fold vibration, the other doesn't. For example, put your index finger and thumb on your larynx and say pa, 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 pa. Do you feel anything here? No. But do the same way and say b, b, b. Even before you open your lips with it, your vocal folds are vibrating. Try to test again. Do s. There's no activity at all here. S. But make it s, s, z, and you feel the vibration. So these sounds, we call them cognates. Cognates means two sounds that are the same in every way, except that one of them is voiced, V plus, and one is voiceless. So math, thumb, the th here, this is the voiceless cognate of this. this sound is as in breathe, bathe, feather, they. So that is called the voiced th. Sometimes when you write it, but we just say the, and usually the sound th letters represent that, and in some words we put the e at the end to distinguish a noun from a verb, like bath. Bath is gonna be taking this one, the voiceless form. But if you add an e to bath, it will be bathe. Breath, you add e, it will be breathe. Okay. This sound is the zh, as in garage, garage, and beige, beige. Y, as in yes. Y, as in yet. Y, as in yellow. So that sound, it is not the J, it is the y, yellow, yes, yet. This one, like a snake, sh, as in shoe. Usually, in many cases, as you know, when you hear that sound, sh, this is what you put. As in station, shoe, mash. When you combine t with sh, you get ch, ch. It's a single sound, a single phoneme. So you say each, or you say chair, or you say catch. So that is a single sound. Typically, the ch are the letters that produce that ch. And then we have the voiced form of the ch is the j. So if you think, t is is voiceless, and then d is voiced, as in kid, d. And then sh, voiceless, and j is voiced. So t and d are cognates. One is voiced, one is voiceless. Sh, j are also cognates. One is voiced, one is not. So you combine the two voiceless sounds, ch, you get this sound. And you combine the voiced form of these sounds, you get j, as in page, judge, fudge, hedge. Okay. There are words that are called minimal pairs, or minimally contrastive word pairs, or minimal contrasts. What this means is there are two words that are similar in everything they have, all the phonemes except one phoneme, whether at the end, at the beginning, or middle, just a single phoneme that they are different in. And these are called minimal pairs. So examples, regardless of the spelling, don't worry about the spelling. When you say bay, may, what are they different in? So they are a minimal pair. Clan, plan, minimal pair. Still, stick, so they are only here different in u and k. Close, clone. So these are examples of minimally contrastive word pairs. Now it is time to pause the video and complete the exercises that are written here on page 18. Then come back and complete. Welcome back. Allophones. I explained before that graphs are written letters. Allo means multiple forms of, or multiple variations of, or multiple options of. Phone is a sound. Allophone means an alternative form of this particular phoneme or this particular sound. So let's see. When you say k, as k by itself, k, k, do you notice any change in your lips? Do your lips spread out? K, k, k. Do your lips open? Does your jaw drop? K, k, k. Okay. Now put the k in a word like cool, and put your index fingers on the corners of your lips and say the word cool. And notice, say it slowly. And before you say ooh, look at what happens when you say the k. So I haven't even said the ooh. I am starting, and I am rounding the k now. So the k will become ko, cool, ko, rounded. It is not the same as k, the neutral. All right, let's see. Now say the word keep, and before you say the E, let's look at yourself and see what you are doing. So you are going to say keep. You go, you spread your lips to say the K before you say the E. So you anticipate that you are going to say the E and say, oh, I'm going to spread my lips initially, and I will make the K like key retracted. Keep, key. And if you say car, now look, you're going to say ah, so the K is going to be open. Car. So here we have the K in three different forms. We have it as rounded, as in cool. The K is going to be rounded in this word, and your lips are extended forward. But when you say keep, the K is retracted, and in car, ka, the jaw is a little bit opened. So, but it's more neutral. You don't have rounding. So there are three different forms of how you say the same phoneme, how you say the K. So these variations depend on what comes before, what comes after a phoneme. However, the same phoneme does not change. In every case, you have the K. Okay? So if you make it different, the word is still going to be the same. Let's take the U. You can say little here. And you can say click. Is less. When you say your tongue curves down. So your tongue is curving down like this. Okay? Click. But when you say cool, your tongue is going to rise up in the back and say cool, pool. So these are two different ways of saying the same sound. Little, if you say light, some people might say it as light. So different ways of saying the same sound. However, that same sound is the same in the word, and it is here, it's an O, and here O, the same. You put your tongue against the alveolar ridge, you say the sound. So allophones are simply different alternatives, different ways of saying the same sound based on the phonetic context of a particular word. And again, the sound can be like rounded, retracted, or neutral. So the concept of complementary distribution means it refers to the effect of the phonetic environment or phonetic context on how you say a sound. So the K phoneme, as I mentioned, if you put it before E, that phoneme will be retracted like the E. Your lips will be retracted back. If you put it before U, that phoneme, K, is going to be rounded just like the U or the U. Back, that's also retracted because of the A. if you take the phoneme p, so if you say pit, you notice that when you pop up your lips, when you say p, you have some air coming out. You explode it. We call it aspirated. Pit. But if you say spit, you don't say p, you don't have the aspiration, you don't have that puff of air. So that is more of a spit, more silent. And when you say tip, you might not even open your lips at all. So that is totally silent. So it's three different ways of saying this p sound. So these are alternative forms or allophones of the p. But again, they are still representing the p sound. In terms of free variation, that refers to individual differences in how you say things, say sounds, individual differences between you and me. So here, these allophones, the differences in allophones, they are resulting from the phonetic context, what sounds come before, what sounds come after. But free variation basically is the production of the same sound by two different people in different ways. And that's it. So you can say, for example, say it, and think about how you are making it. Is your tongue behind the upper front teeth, or is it behind the lower front teeth? You'll be surprised. Again, smile. Most people make it with the tongue behind the upper front teeth, behind the touching the alveolar ridge. Yet, some people make it, a smaller number of people make it smile. So that is free variation. Depends on the individual and how that person will say the sound. Now we're going to speak about the phonetic structure of the syllable. What is a syllable? The traditional definition of the syllable doesn't really capture all that's in the syllable. So they say, okay, a VC means vowel consonant, as in up. CV, it means it's a consonant vowel, as in to. VVC can be vowel consonant, even though eat in written language, EA is vowel, two vowels, and then consonant t. In phonetics, no. It is a single vowel, a single consonant. And then 8, VCV, so that is one letter, one vowel, one consonant, one vowel again. But we don't say the E at the end. So even though this is VCV, and you say 8, that is just the way that you write it. But in phonetics, it's totally different. You have just a single vowel at the beginning and a single consonant. And you don't do anything. You don't say that letter here. The same, cup and stop. So consonant, vowel, consonant. And there are, again, it doesn't capture the phonetic properties of the syllable. So we need to define the syllable in terms of phonetics. So now, a syllable is based on the sounds it has. A syllable is a component of the language that it must have one vowel. Any of these 14 vowels that we described, one. And it can have anything else with that. So a syllable phonetically is made out of an onset and a rhyme. Onset and rhyme. So the onset is any sound that comes before the vowel in the syllable. It could be one single sound, it could be one, it could be 2, 3. So if you look at the word same, that is one single syllable. What do we have here? Onset is the sound, one or more sounds that come before the vowel. Where is the vowel? A. So S is the onset. S. And then rhyme is the vowel and what comes after. So two big components of a syllable, onset and rhyme. The vowel is the core, the nucleus of the syllable. So what comes before the vowel is called onset. And that onset, these are consonants that come before the vowel. So again, S is an onset, and then aim, together, aim, that is the rhyme. How about string? S, string. Where's our vowel? Where's our nucleus? Eh. So now we have S, T, R. All of these three sounds before the vowel are called the onset. And you have examples that you need to identify in like in quizzes. Identify the onset, for example. And then where's the rhyme? That is ing, ing, I-N-G. It will give you ing. So string, that's the rhyme. The vowel and what comes after it. And look at some syllables do not have a, they don't have anything after the vowel. And some, they don't have an onset as well. So the only mandatory component of a vowel, the mandatory, the syllabus, is the vowel. And in addition to that vowel, you can have something before it, you call it onset, or you can have something after it, after the vowel, that you are going to call the coda, or the tail of the vowel. So let's see. There's no onset in a syllable with no initial consonant phoneme, like you say, eyes, eyes. There are no consonants here. The I is a vowel. And so I, that is made by the E-Y-E, I, that is the vowel, I. There's no onset, no consonants before it. And then Z, that comes after, that is the coda. So the vowel, which is the nucleus, and the coda make up the rhyme. And this word has no onset. The word up, up, there is no onset. Owl, there is no onset. So the rhyme component is made out of two parts. The nucleus, which is the vowel. You cannot make a syllable without a vowel. And then the tail that comes after the vowel. Coda means tail. So the nucleus and the coda together make rhyme. And again, you can have syllables with no codas. So because the nucleus is the only mandatory part of the syllable, and you can add more to it. So the nucleus is a vowel phoneme or the syllable consonant phoneme that makes a vowel. In addition to the 14 vowels we studied, there are some letters that can serve as a vowel. They have special properties. One is m, and one is o, and one is n. These are called syllabic when they come and make a syllable on their own. Let's look. Above, above. Is a syllable by itself. It is one nucleus. It doesn't have a coda. It doesn't have an onset. That's one syllable. And then bov, that's another syllable. Bov. So bov, what does it have? It has a nucleus, and before the nucleus it has an onset. And then after the nucleus it has the v, which is the coda. So b is the onset of that second syllable. And then of, that is the rhyme. And that rhyme is made out of the nucleus, and then v. Okay? Let's look at criticism. So cri is one syllable. It has the I at the end. So it has k, r, these are the onset. And then is the rhyme, and that rhyme is only made out of a vowel, kre. And then t, the t, is the onset, and then I is again a vowel, and that is the nucleus, and there is no coda to that. And then se, se, that's another vowel. I mean another syllable. Se. So s is an onset, and then is a rhyme, but that rhyme doesn't have anything more than the vowel. And then m. So the s and m together, as they are written like this, they make a syllable on their own. So you say criticism, criticism. So you can do it in phonetic alphabet as m, and put a dot under the m to say this is not the regular m, this is the syllabic m, because it gives you a syllable on its own. You can even put the schwa at the end between the s and m, criticism. That is fine as well, but you can also just write it m and put a dot, and that says that's the syllabic m, because the m is going to give us the nucleus, serve as a nucleus. Candle, candle. So the d, l at the end, that is going to give us one syllable by itself. So can is one syllable, d is another, and even though there is no vowel in between the d and o, the l is going to make and serve as a nucleus of the word candle. So k, candle, can is one syllable, k has an onset, a is the an, together is the rhyme, and then break the rhyme down into a nucleus and coda, and then do. So d is an onset of this syllable, and then u serves as the nucleus. It is the syllabic l, serves as a nucleus, and there is no coda. Ka, ka, so ka, say ka, and then and then the question mark, the glottal stop. That gives us one syllable, and then ka, at the end by itself is going to give us one nucleus for that word. We call it the syllabic and you put a dot under it. So the coda is the part of the rhyme that comes after the nucleus, and again imagine the nucleus to be the core, and behind it there's a tail that we call the coda. And not all syllables have codas, because that is not mandated. If a syllable has a coda, we call that syllable a closed syllable. It's like it has a door, it just closes it. Say, if you say, for example, say the word Sarah, Sarah. So we have two syllables, sa and then ra. So there is a s is an onset, is rhyme, and that rhyme doesn't have more than the nucleus. So that sa is an open syllable, and then ra is also an open syllable, Sarah. So these are two syllables, both of them are open because they do not have a coda. And if they do, they will be closed syllables. So pause and go do the exercises on page 21 to 24. So now let's look at the parts. This is an exercise. Which syllable has no onset? Right. It is one single syllable. It has an How about up? So one syllable, but it doesn't have a consonant before the vowel. That's the one. Above, so is one syllable. It doesn't have an onset. And then above does. Club, okay. It has an onset. So the onset is here more than one sound. K, l. East. that has that's the whole syllable. You circle it or make it highlighted. The whole thing has an onset. I'm sorry, no onset, because E, nothing comes before it, no consonant. And then ant, there is no consonant before the A. And then west, that doesn't have, that has an onset because the W is a consonant. And then arch, there is no consonant at the beginning. Now identify the rhyme means what is the second part of the syllable, which is the nucleus, and what comes after the nucleus and the coda. So sm, and then isle, that is your rhyme. At, rhyme. Spring, rhyme. Plants, doors, summer. So these are two syllables. Ignore the spelling, but you have now one syllable, some, and s is the onset, and then is the rhyme, and then is your nucleus, and then is the coda. And then the other syllable is just made out of one vowel, which is the some. And that sound is only a nucleus. It doesn't have a rhyme. I'm sorry, it doesn't have a coda. It doesn't have an onset. Now, eel, the whole thing is a rhyme. There's no onset. Sarah, like I explained here. Sa, the rhyme is the A. It doesn't have any more than that. And then ra, the rhyme is also the A, the vowel. Through, that is by itself is the rhyme. Eyes. So the whole word is the rhyme. I is a vowel, and z is a coda. Play, a, that is one single nucleus, one that is the rhyme, and it has no coda. Which syllable has a coda? Sleep. So that is, see how close that syllable is? There's a consonant at the end after the vowel. Glass. Yes. How about Sophie? No. That's the syllable O and then E. So it doesn't have a coda. Easy. 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 So E is a syllable by itself. And it doesn't have anything more than a vowel. And then Z, it has the onset Z, and then E, which is a nucleus. It does not have a coda. How about pizza? Again, focus on how you say it, not how it is written. So Pete, that is one syllable, and it has a coda. And then sa, so this sa, it doesn't have a coda. And then each, so each, the whole thing is a rhyme, and it has a nucleus, and it has a coda. So now we move on to the concept of word stress. I explained that every word has one primary stress where your muscles exert more energy and they spend more time. The result is that sound becomes longer and it becomes more emphasized. So when you put that sound in a syllable, it makes the whole syllable take more time to say. And we say that syllable is stressed. So individual words that are made out of a single syllable, they have one primary stress by nature. That is the rule. If you say can, car, jar, far, Sam, every one of these words has, it is exaggerated. It has, it is stressed if it's a single syllable. If you have more than one syllable, then only one syllable, if a word that has multisyllabic words, you only have one primary stress that you can put somewhere on one syllable in that word, and then it comes at the expense of other syllables. If you take the stress syllable, and for example, and it is part of the word, then the other syllables will not be stressed, will not receive a primary stress. They might receive secondary stress or tertiary stress, but our main focus here is on the primary stress. So, for example, when you say produce, you can see that you make the first part of the first syllable more pronounced, more exaggerated, produce. And you notice how I say produce. So the vowel here is longer, produce, or produce. So, but if you make it as a verb, you say produce, you are going to make this vowel into a schwa. You make it shorter, and that whole syllable becomes neglected, becomes less emphatic, less stressed. And then deuce, the oo here becomes stronger, and the whole syllable becomes strong. So produce. If you say this is a noun, project. And then, so your stress is at the beginning, and this here, this syllable is not as emphasized. But when you say project, then you don't say project or you don't say project. So here is more exaggerated, and if you move the stress to the second syllable, you have to make the weaker. So you say project, and that you can use a schwa instead of the or o, project or project. I mean, it should be project. The here becomes a schwa when you do it this way. So the stress is going to change the way you transcribe words sometimes. So we use the symbol, the diacritic. It's called diacritic, which is you put here to show where the stress is, and that will help you because your awareness of the stress is going to make you, force you to choose particular ways of transcribing. You cannot just mix and match. For example, when you say receipt, you can say it as receipt. Can I have a receipt? And again, I'm exaggerating. Receipt. So the at the beginning, you have to say re. You can't exaggerate this. You cannot take the long form of it. But if you choose to say it as receipt, can I have a receipt? So we say receipt. Now you put the stress at the beginning, and then that syllable here it has E instead of E. And then the second syllable becomes shorter. It will not have a stress anymore. So instead of eat, it becomes it. I need a receipt. So you can, if you choose this, that is correct. That is fine. And if you choose this, that is also correct. But you cannot have both in the same word. You can't have this and make the A after seat. You cannot make it seat. You can't have two of these in this word as it is now. So you have to choose. And again, your awareness of the stress is going to help you decide. You would say address. What is your address? If you say it this way, will be a schwa. The first syllable will not be emphasized, will not be stressed. And then that dress is going to have the stress. But, so you do it this way. However, if you say it as address, what is your address? So you have to, instead of the schwa, you're going to say it the way that people say it, and in that case, the stress is at the beginning of the syllable in the front of the word. So you say address, and then you have to elongate. You have to make that sound bigger than the schwa. So your ability to understand the stress and how it works It comes with practice. You have to find a lot of words where you look at the stress and examine it and repeat and see how you say these. And go to page 25 in your textbook and you'll find many examples, and also do the exercises to help you identify the stress. So the stress pattern is used in many words to change the word from a noun to a verb in many words. For example, say conduct versus conduct. So in say conduct, you notice that vowel is longer. It is, the whole syllable is exaggerated, is stressed. But when you say conduct, then you have to use a schwa here and then put the emphasis on the second part, conduct. And the first part, the first syllable will be weaker. Project, project, object, object. So when you speak and say change the stress pattern, you are gonna make the meaning different. So now pause, please, and then go do the examples and the exercises, and then come back. Okay, so now we have finished, we have discovered what chapter 2 is about, what phonetic transcription is about, why we need the International Phonetic Alphabet. We have finished, or discussed, surveyed rather, the sounds of the English language, the 43 phonemes. We have spoken about morphology and how it relates to phonetics, and the different concepts that have to do with phonetics and phonetic transcription. So I hope that you found this helpful, and we'll move on after that to different parts of the class. So we'll stop here. Thank you.